body 2, main body 3. And you can use these sentence starters and then paraphrase the questions. And then in your last part, your conclusion, finally, and then paraphrase the last sentence. Finally, I recommend this place because, yeah, so it may be, the question may be asking you about a beautiful place to visit in your country. So it could be, I'm going to talk about the Lake District in the northwest of the UK. To begin with, and then you can just then start to explain about different parts. And then finally, I recommend this place because it's an area of outstanding natural beauty. Couple of little tips here. So your speed of speaking for part 2 should not be too fast or not too slow in order to meet the 2 minutes. Remember, the faster you speak, the more you're going to have to say. There may be some topics which you may not be able to talk about, even if it was in Arabic. In this case, you should practice the topics, and if you don't have any idea, Google it. This is a great tip because, you know, if you Google any subject, it might be about the environment. When you Google it, you're going to find all different points of view about the same subject. And so it's really useful to read those and then to form an opinion of your own. Okay. There was one, I'm trying to think, there was one question about a magazine. Describe your favorite magazine. And a student said to me, well, I don't read magazines. And she just panicked and said, I can't think of an answer. But when we spoke, I said to her, so your degree, what did you do your degree in? And she said, which subject? And she said, oh, it was like fashion design. I said, okay, so what do you read in relation to fashion? She said, well, fashion magazines, fashion websites. I said, well, that's fine then. You can use that in your answer. And she said, you know, she could say, well, actually, I don't read many magazines, but I do read this website. I do look at this website. And then she could start describing it. And it's always important to use adjectives and adverbs because it just makes everything more descriptive. Remember, some of the things you're talking about, the examiner may not know about. So the more descriptive you can be, the better that will be. Okay, we're on to part 3 now. So this is the discussion part of the test. The examiner is going to discuss about the part 2 topic. And by that, I mean, let me give you an example. So if part 2 is about describe your favorite teacher, then part 3 might be about education in your country. Yeah, it's more general than part 2, but the same topic. Normally the examiner will prepare 4 or 5 questions and 3 or 4 questions will be extracted from the candidate if they don't give a complete answer. So this is what I always work on with students, is how to give a complete answer, because this is going to save you from having to answer more questions. And the complete answer, giving the complete answer, means giving a direct answer and an explanation. And then give an example of your explanation and or a conclusion. So this is how to answer part 3. Direct answer, explanation, and then you can give an example or a conclusion. Yeah, so you could give a direct answer, an explanation, and a conclusion, or you could give a direct answer, an explanation, and an example. Or you could give all of them. But the direct answer and the explanation, we need those. Those are compulsory. And you can choose the example or the conclusion or both. And that was my point there. And again, in this part, it's important to use adjectives and adverbs in your answer just to make it more descriptive. Now we have quite a useful template for part 3, and this is really useful. Now we've got 3 different examples here. So if you can see, I've color-coded them to make them a little bit more self-explanatory. But here we have the direct answer, the explanation, the example, and or the conclusion. And these are just nice little sentence starters to get you going. Okay, we're going to go through a few tips before we start and practice some questions. So, have a positive attitude, be confident. Even if you don't feel confident on the outside, we say fake it until you make it. So try to look confident on the outside until you feel more confident on the inside. Look friendly and have good eye contact. Speak clearly and at a steady pace, so not too fast and not too slow, because the aim is good communication. Focus on accuracy and fluency. Remember to paraphrase the question. And it doesn't matter which way round you do this. You can answer and explain or explain and answer. Give full answers, not one-word answers like yes or no. Be polite. So if you haven't heard the question correctly, you can say, "Excuse me, could you repeat the question, please?" This is also good. It gives your mind just a couple of seconds to think about your answer too. Really important one here, to stay on topic. It's very easy to drift away onto a different topic. So try not to do that. Stay on topic. Don't memorize answers because this can sound artificial. Now, IELTS examiners, you know, they can do this for a long time. You know, they can be taking tests and listening to students, answering questions for a long time. So they do get to know when there's been a memorized answer, something, maybe an answer you've read on the internet and you just repeat that. And what they will do is, if they suspect this, they will just ask you a different question. So it's best not to do that. Remember that the name of the game is to sound as natural as possible, not to sound artificial. Don't use slang or casual language. So don't think about it like you're speaking to your friend in the street. Yeah, think about it more like you're going to a job interview. Don't worry about your accent. Every student has one. Simulate the exam environment to help you feel less nervous. We all know that we feel more nervous when we're in a situation for the first time. So even if you want to get a desk or a table and get somebody you know to ask you questions, and you practice and practice and practice, then when you come to the time of the actual test, you're going to feel less nervous because you've already practiced. Not always possible this, but if you can practice with somebody who is a slightly higher level than you, this is really good because this can help you to raise your level. Okay, so be prepared. And everything you say doesn't have to be true. You can just imagine that you're telling a story, yeah? So if you are asked something, like the example I used before with the student about the magazine, and she said, oh, I don't read magazines, yeah? You have to think, you have to kind of problem solve it. So how can I incorporate my answer into this question? So, well, actually, I don't read magazines, but I'm going to talk about a website that I often look at. Yeah, you're still reading. It's still something that you will read. So it's related to magazines. And try to use idioms to sound more natural because native speakers use idioms a lot. I'm not saying use them in every sentence, but even if you can use a couple, it sounds good. Okay, so after all of that, I just want to show you an example of some questions and how, like the actual structure. So here we are, what we talked about at part 1, split into 3 sections. Yeah, with the normal questions, just the usual questions about your name and how can I address you? Does your name have any special meaning? It will be questions similar to this. And then work or study. So if you say you're studying, you could be asked similar questions to this. Or if you say you're working, you could be asked these questions. Then let's talk about your free time. What do you enjoy doing in your free time? What kind of street do you live on? Students sometimes find this question quite difficult, but actually all it means is if you were to close your eyes and try and describe your street to me, you would kind of be doing the same thing. Is it a broad street? Is it wide? Or is it narrow? Is it a main street? Or is it just the end? Do you live at the end of a street so you don't get a lot of traffic that comes to your part of the street? Are there shops on your street? Do many people walk up and down your street? And things like that, yeah? And you just need to think about how you're going to describe it. Part 2, remember the card question where you have 1 minute to make some notes and between 1 and 2 minutes to talk. And then we have part 3. So this is more the discussion part related to part 2. So what do you do to stay healthy? Do you get ill very often? Is there anything you'd like to improve about your fitness? Yeah, so there's a lot of different ways you can answer these questions. Okay, so do we have any questions so far? I realize that was quite a lot of information about all parts together. Normally, we will have a lesson focusing on one part. So any questions so far? Please raise your hand if you have any questions. Zineb, you have a question? I can see that you have raised your hand. Yes, hi Zineb. Oh, I think we have a connection problem. Hi Zineb, can you hear me? No, okay, no problem. And Najla, you've raised your hand.
Yes, hello, Doctor. How are you?
Hi, Najla. I'm good, thank you. And how are you?
Fine, thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for this comprehensive lecture and information you mentioned about the 3 parts.
You're welcome.
Just my question about if I don't know exactly the answer, so could I make up a question or imagine something not true, or telling an imagined story about these things?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, yes, you can. If you remember, one of the points was that it doesn't have to be true. Yeah, so it might be a question about, oh, how do you spend a typical day on your holiday? You know, and you might want to say, well, I wake up at 10 a.m. I have breakfast, and then I like to go swimming, and I like water sports, and you can describe them. It doesn't mean that you actually have to have done that. As long as you can describe it, it's absolutely fine. It's like you're telling a story.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, yes, exactly.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And I can see a question from Saleha. May I ask, in part 3, why some examiners repeat the same question in different ways? is it because I answered it incorrectly? And does that affect my score? Well, it's an interesting question, this one, because what you might find is you may think it's the same question, but it may be in a different tense. So they may be testing your knowledge of grammar. Okay, now Zineb, we have your question. So when I don't understand the question, can I ask to explain to me or change the question? Okay, now here my advice here would be, because what you really don't want to do is you don't want to misunderstand the question and then continue with the wrong answer because you're answering a different question. Yeah. So here's a good time that you might say to the examiner, oh, could you repeat the question, please? Because if you hear it again, you may understand it better. Yeah. So that's what my advice would be. You can't really ask the examiner to explain. Yeah, because it's not a lesson, it's a test. Okay, Sophia, you have your hand raised.
Hello.
Hi, Sophia, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. In the previous couple of slides, you said, I'm not sure if I understood the word correctly, but you said, if you don't understand or if you don't have idea about the topic, you can Google it.
Yes.
Is it, I mean, we can Google it inside when I am in the exam or how? I didn't understand it.
Okay, good question. So no, I didn't mean in the exam, I meant when you're practicing, yeah? When you're practicing, because you can actually Google the questions, similar questions to IELTS, you can find that a lot. So if you have a list of topics, and for example, you come to environment and you think to yourself, well, I don't really know that much about the environment. So you could Google and find different opinions or views about this, yeah? It might be about global warming, or it could be about a whole host of topics to do with the environment. So then you can read different points of view and then you can choose your own from there. So what I mean is if you Google it, it will give you some ideas for your answer. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but what about if I don't have a clear idea about the topic when I am in the exam?
Well, this is why it's so important to, I mean, honestly, I can't stress this enough. It's the practice. Yeah, you want to practice as many topics as you can so that you know, well, I've got an opinion on all of those topics. Yeah.
Okay, but can I talk about another topic? I mean, if I don't know it?
No, you can't talk about another topic. You need to, you can have something related, like I described before about, it was about reading magazines. Yeah, and you can link it like that. Well, I don't read magazines, but I know I look at these websites. You can link it in that way. But if it's asking about the environment, you need to answer about the environment. Yeah. It might even be something like very, very small, like, well, in my household, I always like to recycle paper. Yeah, because I know that lots of rainforests are being chopped down, cut down, and this is having a really bad effect on global warming, something like that. Yeah,
it's about the same topic.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so Aya, you have a question.
Hello, Miss. How are you?
Hi, I'm very good, thank you. And you?
I'm fine, thank you. Well, I feel Sophia, and you just explained my question, which is if I don't understand the question, can I like talk a little bit far about the topic? It's not that related, but it is a little bit far, and that happened to me in my previous IELTS. They asked me about river in my countries, which we don't have rivers in my country. So I just spoke in general about geographical sites in my country. But is that going to affect my mark?
No, it's not going to affect your mark, because if you don't have rivers in your country, you don't have rivers in your country. Yeah. So it's I would say the most important point here is to explain. Yeah. You could say, well, actually in my country, we don't have any rivers. So I'm going to talk about, and if you just guide the examiner as to, you know, what you're doing, that's absolutely fine.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay, so next person who has a question is Yusuf. Hi, Yusuf.
Yeah, hi, Ms. Joanne.
Hi, how are you?
Having a good day.
Yes, thank you.
Sorry, I want to ask you about, you have earlier mentioned using idioms and expressions.
Yeah.
And so what I want to ask you about is, what if I did not mention these idioms and these kind of expressions in my talk? Does my evaluation will be affected?
Well, don't worry, it's not going to be the difference between passing and failing. You know, it's just going to, what I mean is it's going to enhance, it's going to improve your answer. Yeah, but of course, the first thing you're thinking about in your mind is answering the question. This is the most important thing. The most important thing is giving a complete answer. But if you could add one idiom or two idioms, it just adds a little extra to your answer.
So it's not essential to using this kind of expressions to increase my mark, for example.
Well, it would increase your mark, but it's, you know, you can answer without using an idiom, but it's better if you can use one or two.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, any more questions? Sophia?
Joanna, I haven't done IELTS test yet, but when I had my MSc degree, I did TEEP test. It's a test for educational purposes.
Okay.
So is it I mean, are these the same, or it's quite different from it?
Well, I don't know about the test that you're talking about, because I don't know about that test, but I suspect. So the test that you had before, was this for you to get onto your course? Was it before? Yeah. And was it like an English test?
From your explanation, I think it's quite same thing.
Similar.
I mean,
okay.
Similar.
Yeah.
But I don't know about the IELTS. I haven't done it.
There are, I mean, actually, you know, there are lots of different tests, and depending on the country, they will prefer one test over another. So it probably will be a similar kind of test, but I couldn't say for sure because I don't know the test. But when you've seen both of them and you say one looks similar to the other, then yeah, it probably is.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Now, I just want to make a quick point here as well, is that some native speakers would not be able to pass the IELTS test. Now, what does that tell us? That tells us that actually, of course, the English is important and the quality of your English is important, but it also tells us about, it's very important as well, about the structure. And this is why these lessons are so important, because teachers are telling you about the best strategies to answer these questions. So that's an important point to consider, that the strategy, you know, you only have a certain amount of time. And so you have to try and get the most valuable information in that short space of time. And so it's always worth remembering this. Okay, so now I think it's time to do some practice. Are there any more questions before we start? Yes, is that Khalid?
Hello.
Hi, is it Khalid,
Hello.
your name? Is that
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Hi,
So,
Khalid.
hello. Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. And you?
Fine. Sometimes I speak quickly. How can maybe avoid these problems? Because I feel when I speak very fast, that's better for me to speak well. I don't know how can you. And you mentioned that you cannot speak in the exam quickly. How can I avoid this problem?
Okay. I mean, if you speak quickly in your own language, it's probably just your natural speed. But you can try and, you know, just try and breathe a little bit, you know, rather than trying to speed up, just try and slow down a little bit. A good tip for this, Khalid, is if you use the function on your phone to record yourself. So when you're answering questions, maybe you're going to have some practice in answering the question, record yourself while you're doing it, yeah? And then listen back to yourself. And if it seems like, oh, that's a little bit quick, you know, you can try and slow it down. But, you know, remember that at the end of the day, it's about communication. And I can understand you perfectly when you're speaking to me. So it's not a big issue.
I mean, when I answer the question, it affect on my maybe evaluation or that.
No, it won't. This is what I'm saying. It's about communication. As long as the examiner can understand you, that's fine. But why we mention the speed is mainly, especially in part 2, is because you have 1 to 2 minutes. And obviously, the faster you speak, the more things you're going to have to say or think about in your answer. That's the only reason we mention about that. And we also mention about speed because if you don't want to speak too fast or too slow, just a nice steady pace for good understanding from the examiner.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Any more questions before we start? Okay, so what?
I have a question.
Oh. Yes, who's this? I can't see on the screen.
Aberdeen. I wanna ask because when I speak English, the word before I say it translates in my head, in my language. Then I say it. I want to avoid it.
Yeah, this comes with practice. I think it's completely natural to translate back into your own language. But I think really it's just going to be practice. You know, you're going to get better as you improve with your English. I know that the goal is really to be thinking in English, but that just comes with practice. It's not something that you can do overnight. Okay, any more questions? Okay, let's start then. So please raise your hand if you would like to answer a question, to practice answering a question.
Hi.
Hi, is that Nadia?
Hello.
Hello, is that Nadia?
Siham, my name is Siham.
Hello, can you hear me? Oh, we've got some communication problem, unfortunately. Okay, so raise your hand if you would like to answer a question. Okay, we have Nadia. Hi, Nadia.
Hi.
Hi, Nadia.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Okay, so Nadia, what we're going to do is I'm going to give you your question. You can take a photograph of it and then it'll just give you a little bit of time to think about your answer. Okay?
Okay.
So this is going to be your question, Nadia. Let me know when you've taken a photograph and then I can move on.
These three questions, that's about sports?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to leave that with you, Nadia. I'll come back in a few minutes, okay? All right, so the next person I can see is Siham. Hi, Siham.
Hello.
Hi. Okay, Siham, thank you for volunteering. So this is your question. So please just take a quick note of it, and then I'm going to give you some time to think about your answers, maybe make some notes, and then I'll come back to you shortly, okay?
Okay.
All right. So next person is Aya.
Yes.
Hi, Aya. I'll just give you
Hi.
your question. This is your question.
Okay.
And then next we have Najla. And Najla, this is your question. And Yusuf, your question is number 5. And then the next question for Sophia. Sophia, number 6 is your question. Okay, raise your hand if you would like to answer a question.
Excuse me.
Yes, is that Nadia?
No, Sophia.
Sophia.
Are we going to answer this question writing or speaking?
No, you're just going to make a few notes and then
Okay.
we're going to be speaking.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, Yusra. And Yusra, your question is going to be number 7.
Okay, Miss.
Okay, good. Anybody else that would like to try? I'm just going to give you a minute to think about everything. I'm going to just quickly look through the chat to see your comments and maybe some questions. So Hatem, I can see, or Hatem, I can see your question. So part 3 is not so much about you, it is about topics more generally. Yes, that's correct. And how they affect everyone rather than just you personally. Yeah. If the examiner asks, do you prefer or do you think, or he asks about your opinion, how can I answer? Well, if the examiner asks about your opinion, you should give your opinion, yeah, because this is what he's asking or she is asking for. So no, that's fine. But yes, you got it right about part 3, yes. And then Najla, could asking to paraphrase the question when I don't understand the question eliminate my score? You don't want to ask the examiner to paraphrase the question because the question will be standard, but you can ask the examiner to repeat the question. And Afaf, yeah, I got your message. I think Dr. Abdul will reply to that. And Yusuf, there is a general concept that the IELTS exam is a technical test rather than a linguistic exam. How far is it right or wrong? And it's a general point of view. Yeah, I think, you know, it depends on who you speak to as to what answer you get. But I do agree with it being, you know, quite a technical test, because this proves the point when I say that some native speakers couldn't pass it. So it's not so much about their English, it's more about they wouldn't know the format. You need to know the format of the questions and how to answer them. That's the most important. Okay, I think that's everybody's questions answered so far. So we will go back. Anybody else that would like to answer a question, please raise your hand. Oh, Mohammed, you have your hand raised. Okay, I'm going to give you question number 8, Mohammed. I'll just give you a second to get that down. Okay. And remember that the structure that I showed you, you know, we suggest these, and this is, the structures really just help you to answer the questions more completely so that you include all of the information. But you don't have to use them. You can answer them in the question in your own way. Okay, so first we have Nadia. Okay, Nadia.
Okay.
Right. Are you ready? Thank you for being our first, Nadia.
Thank you to you too.
Okay, so let's start. Let me just quickly set my timer. I'm not going to set it for 5 minutes. I'm just going to set it for maybe 4. Let's see how we do.
Okay.
Okay. Why do you think sport is important?
I think it's important because it's improve your physical activity and improve your circulation and collaterals in your body. Also, it's help and change your mood. When you're doing some sport, you feel is more active and feeling happy also.
Yeah, very good. Now, I like this answer because you raised some good points and you had some nice words in there like circulation, which were related to exercise. So very good. So do you think famous sports people are good role models for children?
Yeah, because some, yeah, I think they are good model because some of them have difficulties in their childhood and before becoming a famous people. They have a lot of difficulties and they face this and doing well. This help us to keep going and doing well to get our goals.
Okay, good. All right, now in this part of the question, Nadia, all I wanted you to do, you started well, but you just need to extend your answer a little bit. So remember how we said direct answer, then explain. So I just want you to extend your explanation slightly, but you raised a good point there about role models, yeah? Here, we could also talk about negative role models. You know, sometimes you see footballers maybe getting really angry on the pitch. We can always talk about negative role models too, to be linked to this. Okay, so part 3. Do you agree that sports stars earn too much money?
Yeah, I agree. Because we hear this from news.
We hear it in the news. Yeah, we hear
in the news. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, we want more explanation. Yeah.
Explanation, okay.
You could give, like here, remember we said about a direct answer, an explanation, and then either an example or a conclusion. So here, you could give an example of someone who is earning too much money or earning a lot of money. You know, you could give a conclusion about this. How is this going to affect the future of sport, things like that. Or maybe it might be about if we buy a ticket to go and watch a sport, it might affect the price of the tickets. You know, it's going to make it,
Okay.
going to be, there's going to be less people that can afford to go to these sporting events. So, you know, just to give you ideas. But well done, Nadia. Thank you for going first. And I know it's scary going first. So thank you very much for that. So remember, I just want you to work on extending your answers. So telling it like a story, okay? But well done.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so secondly, we're going to go to Siham.
Yes.
Hi, Siham. Okay, I'm just
Hi.
going to quickly reset my timer.
Okay.
Okay, let's start. So, why are some sports fans so passionate?
I think it's because it's only watching, not playing. They cannot control or change anything in sports, so it's become passionate more than.
Okay, so I think what you mean is because they can't control what's happening, because the fans can't control what's happening, that they become more passionate.
Only watching.
Ah, okay, so they're watching and they're not taking part, so they become more passionate. Yeah, okay, all right. And is there any violence at sporting events in your country?
Yes, it was happened about 20 years ago. I don't remember it clearly, but there is big problem happen when during football match, and many people that how I can say that
Were they injured? Many people
fall
got
in the problem. Yes. And big problem is happening, and they enter to the hospital.
Okay, so this answer was good because you gave an example, yeah? So when you give an example, it just brings the whole answer to life, yeah? Because people can relate to it. What might be good here is to, you know, you could give a conclusion. You could say, well, I think that if sports stars were given big fines, you know, this might help with their behavior or something similar like, yeah? Okay, let's go to the last part. So should athletes be better role models?
Yes, because people who like athletes looks to him and try to be like him.
Continue.
It's just that what
well, here you could talk, Siham, about children, yeah? You could talk about children here. You could say, you know, young children are watching athletes, and so their behavior is so important because, of course, if the children see bad behavior, they could copy that. So if you, okay, so what I want you to work on is extending your answers, all right?
Okay.
Okay, any questions for me?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And next we have Aya. Do we still have Aya? I don't think so. Okay, let's move on. We can always go back. All right, so next we have Najla.
Yes, hello.
Hi, Najla.
Hi.
Let's just reset. Okay, let's start. So what are the benefits of playing a sport?
Actually, there are many benefits or plethora of benefits in playing a sport, but I try to mention the most important things from my point of view. The first things, I think that it's improve the physical and the mental health and boost this physical and mental and encourages especially the students to be mentally and physically strong, such as when the teacher decide to make teams, and this type of competition will encourage the students or enhance them, puts them to think about how to win in this game. So this types will help the students to be mentally and physically stronger. And it's also empowers students with life skills. That's help them to be social and to interactive with other types with all level of students, with the young, with the big, with the old, with the adult. And the third point, and which is very important, it's learn the time management and the discipline, because when they have a team or they have a sport, they have a limit time, so they learn how to deal with this time and how to manage this time.
Good, nice answer. Really, this is an example of a full answer, because you gave a nice introduction of how you're going to answer it. So this is very good for the examiner, because they know where you are with your answer. You use some nice vocabulary like enhance their skills. I like that. You talked about mentally and physically and about life skills. So very nice. Okay, let's go to the next part. Do you think the types of sport that are popular will change in the future?
Yes, I think there is a great change in the future. It will happen regarding the sport, especially the traditional sport will slowly disappear. And I expect that the current e-games will become real new sports. Also, the children will involved in some types of sports and become more active in sports again. As technology will be blended in the sport game.
Okay, and how can sports bring people from different countries closer together?
Yes, sport is the great benefits that anyone can gain it from sport is the social benefits. So the peoples can meet each other from all over the world. They can come to sport and to stand with their team. And during that time, they have to face or an experience a culture and another type of people. So this interaction with the peoples who come from all over the world for the sports purpose, they can make a social interaction and a social relationship.
Okay, very good. Nice full answer there. And that was about 4 minutes. So good timing too. Very good. Any questions for me, Najla?
No, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Excuse me. Okay, so Haytham, you've got your hand up. I think you will be asking for a question. So just let me quickly go down to number 9 for your question. There you are, Haytham. You can have this question. I'll just give you a second to make a note of it, and then we'll get back to Yusuf.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Let me get back to your question, Yusuf. Number 5, I believe. Yeah. Okay, let's start. What are the benefits of playing a sport?
It's an impact that there is a number of advantages of playing different kind of sports. First of all, exercising different kind of sports is number one, to decrease the depression and get rid of anxiety.
Nice.
Another thing is many individuals choose to exercise and do different kind of sports to change their moods, as well as many people think doing this kind of sports is social concepts rather than it's just playing sports. I mean, in different sports, people are gathering, share their experience, share their knowledge of this certain sports.
Okay, nice. Nice answer. All right. Do you often play a sport?
Well, to be honest, I used to play a lot of kind of sports, football, basketball, tennis. There's quite few sports I used to play. However, when I started working, unfortunately, it was a little bit difficult to play and work at the same time, because my job involved to work for long hours, so it's not suitable to have free time to play sports. However, nowadays it's just once in a blue moon.
Okay, and how do you think you could incorporate, how do you think you could include sport more in your working day? Do you think it's possible?
Of course, I believe it's possible if I organized and arranged my time perfectly, ideally.
Okay, thank you. Nice answer. Ideally, yeah, good. Okay, so number 3, why are some international sports more popular than others?
It's a really interesting question. I will give you an example. According to a recent study in one of the international sports magazines, they have said that the football game is the most popular game around the world, and because of its popularity, it's easy and convenient. Many individuals can play it from age 5 to age 16, if you want to say. So this is one of the main reasons that it's internationally played internationally in different countries.
Okay, thank you. Okay, good answer. You could also talk about, in that last part, you could talk about the way, you know, that about sponsorship even, or the way that a sport is funded. You know, some sports have a lot more sponsorship than others. So no, that was really good. And of course we have with football, don't we, where individual companies are funding football clubs. So that also makes a big difference, but good answers. I like because with your answer, you give quite a full explanation in your answer, and you know that was really interesting. Do you have any questions for me?
No, just thank you.
Well, I just want to say as well, you know, some people need to work on extending their answers, but time-wise, yours was very good. So well done.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, that was Yusuf. So now we have Sophia.
Hi.
Hi, Sophia.
Hi.
Okay, let's start, Sophia. So why are some sports fans so passionate?
Actually, I don't like any sport events, but I only think in two possible reasons. Firstly, they might be feeling as a part of the game, and they feel so exciting because of the level of the adrenaline is going up while the adrenaline, going up while the game. And secondly, I think because they like the whole team or a particular player, so by being so passionate of them,
about them,
they like to encourage them to give more and to win during the whole game. I'm not sure.
Oh, no, that's fine. That's good. Okay, good job. So let's go to the next part. Is there any violence at sporting events in your country?
As I mentioned before, I'm not a fan of any sporting events, but once I heard from a friend of mine, he told me there was a violence at a football event because of one of the teams didn't win. Didn't win, yeah.
Okay.
I'm not.
Okay. Now here, I mean, what I liked about the first part of your answer is the same as you did with number one, is that you said, well, actually, I'm not a sports fan, you know, I don't really like sport, but, and then you go on to explain something. So this is very good. And then really all you need for this one about the violence, if you don't know any, you can make it up. You know what we were talking about before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can just keep it general, so you don't have to mention any names, but you could say in a particular country, I know this happened, you know, and just talk about it like you're telling a story. Okay, so there's a good tip for that one. So let's get to number 3. Should athletes be better role models? So this is your opinion.
Yes, in my opinion, they should, because young children can be influenced by their actions, and also they are looking forward to be like them. So I think they should.
Okay. So all I really want you to do is to work on extending and expanding your answers. And it's quite a common thing, yeah? So it's just working on it. Just one little mistake that I wanted to correct, because it's a very common mistake. But remember that when we talk, so when you said about being exciting, yeah? Now, we use ing, so exciting, we use ing when we're talking about a thing. So if I'm talking about sport, I might say that I find sport very exciting, all right? But when I talk about my feelings, I don't use ing, I use ed on the end. Yeah, so I get very excited when I'm watching football, for example. Yeah. So just remember to use those two in that way. But other than that, great try. How was it when you were answering it? Was it difficult or was it okay?
At the beginning, I tried to Google it, but then I said, let's try answer as I feel. I know the topic, the idea about the topic, so I don't need to Google it. I need to express it in my own.
Yeah, that's a good tip, actually. And I would say that's good for everyone to follow. If you're really, really nervous or you think you don't really have a lot of experience in answering, you can write things down, but it's really better just to write little bullet points or just one or two words just to remind you. And then, of course, the key is to practice. Okay, lovely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
For this experience. It's the first time actually.
Oh,
for
really?
IELTS.
Fantastic, fantastic. Okay,
thank you.
Great. All right, so next we have Yusra, number 7. Now, Haytham, I noticed that you raised your hand. Oh, hi. Hi, Yusra.
Hi, Miss Joanne. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. All right, Haytham, I know your hand is up. I will come to you next, okay, if you want to ask anything. Okay, so are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, let's go. So, what benefits do international sporting events bring?
I think the international sport events stimulate national economies, and it can increase job opportunities, and it helps to know the culture of this country.
Nice, nice. Okay, now what would be great with this would be if you gave an example. Yeah, so it might be it could be about the Olympic Games. You know, it brings a lot of, wherever they choose to hold the Olympic Games or any sporting event, it brings, like you said before, it helps the economy of that country, and it helps us to understand a little bit of the culture. So that was a fantastic start to that answer. Okay, let's move on. Is it important for a country to win lots of medals? Remember, this is your opinion.
Yes, it's important because it's increased foreign investment in terms of sponsorships and both tourism and revenues.
Okay, could you try and extend your answer just a little bit?
I don't have more idea about this question.
Okay, now these were really, I really like the way that the first part, how you paraphrased, so that was good. Your language that you're using is related to the topic, so sponsorship and tourism, so that's really good. You might want to give your opinion. You might say, well, it's nice to win. Of course, it's nice to win.
Can you give me some examples to?
I'm just going to give you an example. So you could say, well, I think it is important to win, but I think it's more important to take part. You know, it's not so much the winning, it's the taking part. Something like that. Yeah. So let's go to the last part. Do you think people should spend more time keeping fit?
Yes. Because spending time outside will improve your physical and mental health. And the regular exercise promotes strong muscle and bones. Staying active can also help you maintain a healthy weight.
Okay, great. All right, lovely. Nice answers, good start. And I just want you to work on extending answers, yeah? But you will do this, Yusra, by practice, yeah? Just practice, practice, practice.
Inshallah. Yeah. Thank you, Ms. Joanne. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any questions?
No, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, so Haytham, you have your hand up. Do you want to ask a question? No? Okay, so next we have Mohammed.
Hello, do you hear me? Yeah, I'm really sorry. This is the first time for having me in this.
Is this Haytham?
Yeah.
Yeah, Haytham. Yeah, I noticed that you had your hand up.
Yeah.
And did you want to ask a question, or did you need to see your question again?
Yeah, I wanted to see my question. You said number 9, I think.
No worries, no worries. Just one second. Let me just get to you there. So if you want to take a note of it just for a second, and then I'll come to you next. Okay, do you have it, Haytham? Yeah, I hope so. Okay, good, right. Yes, have you got it, Haytham? Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. I'll come to you next. All right, so now we have question 8, which is for Mohammed.
Yes, Joanna.
Hi, Mohammed.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you. And you?
Ramadan Kareem. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, so shall we start? So, should people spend more time exercising regularly?
Yeah. Yes, actually, when we talk about exercising regularly, and should people spend more time, because it should be like many practice and habit or daily routine in our life, such as eating and drinking, because sport works on balance in our lives, about our happiness and changing our moods, and those practicing it regularly is an important treatment for healthy problems such as depressions and other healthy problems also.
Health problems, yeah.
Yeah.
Good. And I think when you talked about balance, you mean like it gives us more balance in our life, yeah? That we eat, we sleep,
yes.
we work,
yes.
and then we
yes.
exercise, yeah. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So is sport popular with all age groups in your country or community?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, we have in our country groups practicing sports, and this is I think it's a very nice behavior to make lots of groups to practicing exercising and sports as a daily routine. in your lives.
Okay, now try to focus there about the age groups, yeah? So you can talk here, you could give examples about young people or even you know, teenagers, or you could talk about children at school having sport introduced to them at school regularly. And then you could also talk about older people. You know, it's very healthy for older people to continue with sport for their health, yeah? Okay, let's go to the next part. So what do people in your community or hometown think about doing sports?
Actually, there's a different mentality in our community about practicing and about sports and about doing sports. But the huge number and the large number change the mentality about the doing sports, because all of them catch the benefits and how it's important to do sports in our life. So this is the good points nowadays in our community, to show a lot of people doing sports all the times.
Okay, good. Now, time-wise, that was really good, yeah? You filled the time well. Now, I just want to mention to everyone, actually, about this last part of the question. So what do people in your community or hometown think about doing sports? Now, of course, the first thing that we normally think is, well, I don't know. How do I know what everybody thinks about doing sport? Yeah. So this is where it's really more important to give your opinion. Yeah. Well, I think most people in my community like doing sports because we have a local leisure centre. I'm making this up, by the way. This is not true. We have a local leisure centre, and I see lots of people from my community, all different age groups, going from early morning to late evening. So I think that most people in my community like doing sports, you know, so just something like that. But no, good answers there. And also, I think what's really going to help you, Mohammed, is paraphrasing. Yeah, paraphrasing is going to help you to structure your answer, because you've got some really good ideas for your answers too.
Thank you, Joanne.
Okay,
if you don't mind, yes, if you don't mind, you can measurement my score band in my speaking now, if you don't mind.
No, I couldn't do it now because I need to, for me to do that, well, number one, I'm not an IELTS examiner, but number two, I could give you a rough score when I hear the whole IELTS speaking test, but just from this small part, no, I couldn't, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you very much, Mohammed.
Thank you so much. If just a last question, please.
Sure.
It's not exactly not a question, or just I need like advice from you to me how to improve my speaking, and I want to know what's the best technique to improve my speaking. So if you don't mind,
did you hear the tips that we had earlier? If I have time, I'll put those on the screen again, but those tips are quite useful. You know, that the main things are, I mean, I know I keep repeating it, but it's practice, it really is. And making sure that, you know, if you can record yourself so that you can listen to your answer, because of course, when you're answering a question, you're just thinking about that, you are just thinking about that question. But afterwards, when you tape yourself, if you record yourself, then you're not thinking about the question, you're listening to your answer, and it's very useful to be able to do that. Also, practice timing yourself. This is also, you know, just set the timer on your phone and start and time yourself so that you know whether you filled the time or whether you can see where you need to improve. And the other tip I would say would be to practice with someone who is maybe just slightly a higher level than you are. This will help you a lot. Okay.
Okay, you can send it me on my email.
If you just ask Dr. Abdul at the end, and then he can answer that for you.
If you don't mind, yes. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you
All
very
right.
much.
Thank you, Mohammed.
Thank you.
All right. So finally, we have Haytham.
Yes.
Hi, Haytham. Am I pronouncing your name correctly?
Yeah, it's correct.
Haytham. Okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right. Lovely. All right. Well, thank you for your patience. And let's start. So, which type of sport do you think is better? Team sports or individual sports?
I reckon all sports are suitable, but some people prefer team sports than individual sports, and I think it's also it depends to our personality, you know. Some people like involved in activities, playing with teams, and others prefer to playing with themselves. But even though you are playing with yourself, you have to work with team. If you are professional, you have to work with your trainer or another colleagues, you know. Yeah.
Okay.
And
so which one do you prefer?
I like team sports, you know, because it's have ability to meet the new people and build your skills, personality skills while you are playing and learning more and more when you engaged in this kind of sports.
Okay. So what types of sports are popular in your country?
Playing football game is more popular in our country. Many people are playing football in schools or in the streets or in the they have some competitions during the Ramadan. Yeah, people like playing football anywhere.
Okay, and who is your favorite team?
Yeah, I'm supporting a club called Al-Ittihad. Yeah, it's very famous here in Libya.
Okay. And what are the benefits of playing a sport?
There is a lot of benefits of playing sports and generally, like get fit, you know, keep in shape, and have good health, good mood, and make friends also. There is a lot of benefit actually. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
I know it's
I'm just going to say that that was a good try. And it's really good because when you try like this, then we can see where you just, you need to improve. Now, I like some of the terminology or some of the phrases that you used, like you said, to get fit and in shape. Yeah, that's something that we would use to say that I'm getting in shape or I want to get in shape. So that's good. And you talked about games that you can play by yourself or as opposed to sports like team sports. Yeah. So I would say with your answer, I'm just looking at the time, that's about half of the time. So what that really tells us is that the quality is good of your answer. I just need you to extend more. So practice extending your answer a little bit more.
Yeah, sure. I know that I have to give some debug sentences and give support sentences and with examples to extend my answers.
I mean, that would really help to give some examples and maybe a conclusion, but to give an example, it really brings your answer to life, because then people can, or the examiner can relate to what you're saying. Yeah, it's one thing describing something, but when you give an example, it's like, yeah, I get what he means now. Yeah,
give more evidence. When you're speaking. It depends to our vocabulary, I think, and ideas. And if I read more about this topic, I will answer better and better.
Absolutely. Do you have any questions for me?
No, thanks.
Okay.
To be honest,
All right. Well done.
Thank you to having me with you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, lovely. Okay. Would anybody else? Oh, we have Layla has her hand up. Yes, Layla.
Hello.
Would you like to practice a question?
Yes, if I can.
Of course you can. Yes. All right. So here's yours. Just going to give you a minute to have a look.
I'm coming to this lecture too late, but
oh really? Did you just arrive?
Yes, no. But I coming is I think in the middle of the lecture.
You came in the middle of the lecture. Ah, okay. But you did know, you did hear all about part 3, yeah? When I was explaining about how to answer part 3.
The end of the explanation and already to the exercise, but I want to try if you.
Oh, that's great. I like that attitude. Okay. So I'm just going to give you a minute to think about your answer. Yeah. And then we'll start, Layla. So just to quickly recap, in your answer, it's really good to give a direct answer, an explanation, an example, or a conclusion, or both. All right, let's start. Okay, do you think the types of sport that are popular will change in the future?
Really, it's an interesting question. But in my opinion, I think that maybe it will be changed according to the world in this moment. Everything will be changed.
Everything is changing.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And how can sports bring people from different countries closer together?
Yeah, when any type of sport or any time of sport will when they make how can I say it, when they make activity, a big activity, they should prepare everything and every and different activities during this sport activity. Then for there was many benefits in this sport activity to get to everyone that sharing in this activity. That's can we say first benefit is to know different culture and dealing with another people we do not see him, we didn't see him before, and get maybe actually different knowledge and different culture culture of knowledge we didn't hear it about it before.
Yeah, so different knowledge and different culture. Okay, so someone that you haven't seen before. Okay, good. So the money professional sportsmen earn is significantly higher than the earning of other professionals. Is it justified, do you think?
I agree with this opinion a little bit because the earn of any sports it's really important for someone and doesn't important for the other. It's
isn't important. Yeah.
For the other. Actually, I think it's regarding to our personality or the personality of the player itself.
Okay. So are you saying that you think that sportsmen are paid correctly, or do you think they should be paid less or more?
I think it's regarding to his level or his or what he doing in this game or in this sport. If he get a high level and a good manner to playing, it should be get a high.
It should be higher. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Good. Okay. Well, I just want to say good try, because I know you didn't even start the lecture until halfway through. So well done, Layla. That was a really brave try. Just a couple of things, you know, I think you need to work a little bit more on your grammar to improve it. Remember, I think you said earn, so, but we would use the word earnings if we're talking about the pay that sportsmen are earning, yeah. But you had a really good try there. So I would say work on your grammar and also work on the structure of your answer, because you've got good ideas that you can bring to your answer, just putting them in the right way, okay? And we talk about this in lectures, in our normal IELTS speaking course. This is what we work on together. We work on making your answer in the right format so it's easier for you to answer questions. Okay, lovely, Layla. Thank you so much. Do you have any questions for me?
Doctor, it's the first time trying to speaking in
well done.
Course with you, and I thank you very much.
You're very welcome, and good luck. Keep practicing, Layla. Okay, lovely. Well, I'm just going to stop sharing. I just want to say to everyone, well done. That was amazing. Everyone was, you know, giving it a good try. And for some people, this is their first time practicing. So well done for that. All right. So let me just quickly look in the chat before I go. Okay, great. So lots of messages here. I'm sorry I couldn't answer them all, but we have unfortunately run out of time. I hope that you enjoy the rest of Ramadan, and I hope to see you all in the future sometime on one of our IELTS courses. That would be great. And I wish you all take care, and we'll speak again soon.
Thank you, Joanne. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Excuse me, Joanna.
Sure, yes.
Excuse me, Joanna.
Yes, Sophia.
I have 2 questions, please.
Okay.
I'd like to ask, do I need I focus on my grammar during my during the speak? I mean, is the grammar mistakes will affect my score? This is the first one. The second one, you advise me to work on my extending my answers.
Yes.
How do I know I extended enough for the examiner?
Yeah. Two ways, Sophia. Great question. 2 ways. One is to time yourself, and if you are not meeting the required time, then you know that you need to extend your answer. Yeah. The other way you can check is to listen back to your answer if you record it and think to yourself, okay, look at the question. Have I answered the question completely? Have I answered it properly? Yeah. And by doing this, you can know when you need to extend your answer or when you don't need to. But the most important thing is answering completely. Yeah, we want a complete answer. So have you answered all parts of the question? Does that make sense?
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Sophia.
Kind of. I mean, during the exam, how do I know
Well, it's not going to be during the exam because, you know, by the exam, that is going to be the last time that you will speak. So all of what we're talking about now is how we're going to practice, yeah, for the exam. So all of these tips are for you all to practice before you go into the exam. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Well, lovely to meet you all. And I hope you have a good Saturday. And I look forward to speaking to you again soon. Take care.
Okay, thank you, Joanne. See you next week.
Yeah, see you next week. Bye.